Welcome to Garden Valley Church Podcasts. We are so looking forward to having you join us today.
Welcome to Wow, Look at Us Now podcast. I'm your host, Rochelle Onslager.
And I'm Michael Onslager. Hey guys, we're here for our next episode, and it's going to be called Establishing Trust After Trauma.
Yeah, that trauma life. What?
Yeah, I'm excited about this one, but it's also not exciting because it's a great subject and it's a hard subject.
Oh no, I don't mind talking about trauma.
I don't mind talking about it. It's just one of those things where it's
That's
like
a hard subject.
it's
Yeah,
so much. There's just so
trauma
much.
Can be like a lot, everything, anything.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying it's just so much, and there's so many different avenues that you can go with this, where it's like, how do we... It could rabbit trail so many different ways. There's so many different things.
Oh, I forgot. I actually wrote down the definitions, which I like to do. I'm just such a weirdo. Like, let's break this down. So trust is a firm belief in the truth, ability, or strength of someone or something. And trauma is a deeply distressing or disturbing experience. Wow. Couldn't count on one hand for that, but... Did you do a little laugh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Your little weird laugh.
Am I asking the questions first?
No, it doesn't really matter. What's a trauma that you've experienced that caused you not to trust anymore?
Lots of stuff.
Nope. You gotta go
Lots
down.
of
You gotta
stuff.
go down to one, and you gotta be honest, real, and authentic. So I mean, depends who you want to expose. Just kidding. Use a different name. A trauma you've experienced that caused you not to trust anymore, to where you probably had no more hope in humanity.
Man, I
It could be as simple as
I have some,
the
but I
tree
don't
behind
wanna...
you, and you go to sit down, and it's not there anymore.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
I would say this. Let's just say this without getting too in depth or exposing certain people. My parents getting divorced and then getting back together and then divorcing again. I would say that was a trauma. That was their own stuff, but it was a trauma in the sense of like, as a kid, they get divorced. And I'm like, oh, wow. Like, I didn't think they would ever get divorced. And then they get back together and it's like, oh, see, I knew it. Like, things are meant to be. Like, this is happening. My parents are supposed to stay together. And then they get divorced again. And you're just like, yeah, it was.
I mean, honestly, my parents aren't divorced, so I don't know how that is. But I think as a child, that would actually be super traumatic.
Yeah.
Because it's your family's not together anymore, and it's like trusting that that's what they're supposed to be. Parents are supposed to be together, and then they're not anymore. And you're like, who can
Well, and it's not like it was just with someone else.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like my mom got married and divorced someone else. And it wasn't like my dad just got married and divorced. It was like your two biological parents who you are always going to love and always going to see get back together. And then they get to, it's like you're living that same, it's like getting a wound, it healing all the way up and then reopening that wound again.
Yeah.
And cutting scar tissue open hurts just as bad, if not more, than it is a fresh wound. So I would say it helped me to not trust, like even in starting to get married, like the beginning of marriage, like
what?
It just makes you...
Why am I just finding this out right now?
You're not just finding this out right now.
On a podcast.
You're not just...
We've
mean? Talked about this. We've talked about how divorce is scary, and you see it many times. And I'm like, I don't want to be...
Well, yeah, but you've had a different experience than me.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's always a way out. Just kidding. And you're like, there's no way out. I'm like...
Yeah. Well, and then I've been engaged 2 other times, too. So it's like, and then things fell through. So it's like, okay, God, like I 100% am trusting you. And it helps when you actually have a relationship with God and the other person has a relationship with God.
Well, what did you put in place, though, to help you trust again? Or what did that process look like?
Well, I put God first. Like, actually first. Because I can honestly say, in the first 2 engagements, I didn't put God first. I put my wants and my desires first. And so this time,
where'd that get you then?
yeah, exactly. But I put God first this go around, and I was like, I don't even want it if it's not of you, God. Like I could care less about any of this if you're not in it. And then, of course, he brought me someone that had the same feelings and the same outlook on it. But it definitely was not an easy process. I think you and I are still...
No, very smooth. So smooth.
So smooth?
Yeah.
You think so?
I mean, I was scared to date you because of the stuff that I've been through.
But that doesn't mean it's an easy
That
process.
was definitely the smoothest that I've ever dealt with.
Yeah, I guess you could say that for sure. But for me, it's just like I'm the type of person like I need a guarantee. Like I'm just because it scares me. Like seeing, I had two parents who I thought were never gonna do
Yeah,
divorce.
it scares me. And you get with a girl that's the like most risk taker that you can. We're like, nah, we'll worry about it when it comes. We're not gonna talk about it now. We're not gonna do it.
Yeah, that's like
so
us
funny.
car shopping.
That's literally
when I got
trying to be like so, like I'm gonna make all the right choices and safe and comfortable and calculate this. And I'm like, nah.
Yeah,
We're gonna take the risk on that.
So
I'm believing Jesus on that.
As side note, when we bought Rochelle's car, they're like, "Do you want the warranty for an extra $2,000?" And she's like, "Nah, I prayed over the car. We're fine." I'm like, "Okay, well," and I'm thinking like the car's got like 30,000 miles on it. It's brand new, pretty much. I'm like, "Okay, whatever." I get my car. It's got like 90,000 on it, and I had already gotten more money for what I needed for it. And he's like, "Do you want it?" And Rochelle's like, "I don't know why you need that." I'm like, because I just want to know that when I'm driving down the road, if something happens.
I'm like, extra money? Nah. It's so funny.
So the guy's like just looking at us like back and forth, and you can totally tell two different types of people sitting right there.
Yeah, I mean, whatever's worth it to you. Me, I'm going to take the chance and not spend the extra money, and then I'll have all that money for something does happen. Then I have extra money to do it. But I'm not going to willingly give you more money. Unless it was like, maybe if it was a new car and stuff, of course, you don't have insurance. Okay. We're talking about trust here. We're not talking about car dealerships.
Oh, dude, you have to have a lot of trust walking into a car dealership.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I don't trust car dealerships. That's why I wanted the warranty. I don't trust you. Give me a warranty.
Oh, I'm like, yeah, we'll have trust until you break it. That's probably got me in trouble, so. Too soon. Just kidding. Oh, okay. I'm just laughing and having my jokes of the night. So, are you gonna ask me any questions?
Is there
this a TED Talk for you today, or
pretty
what?
much? Is there traumas from past relationships that cause trust to be built? How did you word that?
Why are you saying that? Stop trying to expose.
Is there
this.
traumas from past relationships that cause trust to be built with the relationship you're in now? How would trauma from a past relationship cause trauma, or cause trust to be built now?
No, how do you build trust now? Like from.
Okay,
So
I'm just gonna ask it the way I think it should.
Yeah, that you're.
How do you build trust with who you're with now, after trauma has been caused from your past relationships?
Attaboy?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, actually, I think I might have even to put a note in here. Just so I think maybe I got this backwards. I can't really exactly know, but I feel like because I made really bad decisions and that I couldn't trust myself. So I feel like trust starts with yourself. And I couldn't, so it doesn't matter like any decision I made after that, after I like ended up.
Doesn't matter about the other
or whatever,
person.
the trauma was, whatever the person, yeah. It's like you still have to deal with that afterwards. And it most likely comes in your next relationships. And because also when you're single, you don't have those traumas kind of always messing with you as much because you're single. But right when you get in another relationship, it's like the Band-Aid's ripped off again. And these scabs are just like open wounds. And you're like, oh, okay, that salt doesn't feel very good. That vinegar doesn't feel very good. But Why are you looking at me like that?
That's just a different analogy.
Well, I'm sorry I don't fit in your box, sir.
No, it doesn't have to fit in my box. I was just wrapping my head around it.
But so it was really hard to trust myself first. So once I started trusting myself and making good decisions, well, I feel like that people would say you trust God first, but that actually is true. I would say trusting God first. Oh man, I can't decide between trusting God first and trusting myself, because I feel like I had to trust myself enough to trust God to then trusting the other person, like whoever, whatever, with the next person or whatever.
Let me word it like this. Maybe this is how you're thinking. You have to trust the God in you.
Yes.
Because it's your spirit.
Yeah.
It's your spirit. It's the Holy Spirit inside you. You have to trust the God in you.
Yeah. That, everything's gonna be A-okay.
Yeah. That you're listening to your Holy Spirit. You're listening to what?
Yeah, but that's hard because I feel like that I questioned it a lot. And there was definitely red flags or whatever you want to call it. There's nudges from the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
Like, even when I wasn't following him, but especially, like, I just had this, like, little, like, boop, go off. And I'm like, and I decided not to listen to it. So then it started being so much that I constantly questioned it because I had so much trauma. So, like, when we got together, it was really hard to push past that. Like, I feel like you made it easier to trust because of the things you put in place, as in, like, being super intentional, when
putting up boundaries didn't even need to be there, but it's there to protect
and, like,
the
doing
other
the
person.
work of someone else. Like, you didn't ask for that, and I'm not saying that's what everyone asked for, but sometimes I think people make an excuse of saying, I'm not here to do all the work that someone else did. But it's like, if you sign up to be with that person, you kind of are signing up. I'm just gonna
100%.
Like, you have to build trust with that person, or they're never going to trust
100%.
you.
It's the same as marrying into somebody that has a kid. Like, I am signing up to help pick up the pieces that were broke by someone else.
Yeah.
I am choosing to step in and help in those areas, and vice versa. Like, the stuff that I've been through, you had to choose, okay, all the damage that's been done in his life and all the times. I mean, we're still dealing with stuff. I get super sensitive about things the way you, like, and it's not even, you don't even say I'm, like, even that mean or anything like that. It could just be that I take him that way with how I've been talked to in my past, the relationships or, things like that. And so instantly I'm like, oh, she's poking at me, like, making fun of me, or she's dragging me down, and it's not even you.
Well,
like,
I am making fun of you a lot of time, but it's more joking. It's not like actual serious, like try to hurt your feelings.
No, but I can tell,
like, let's
like,
joke.
when we're laughing together about stuff, it's like, okay, yeah.
Well, you're actually a really good sport. You laugh at my jokes that make fun of you, and that's actually the most fun that I get.
Right.
Because it's like a playful.
But then there's like certain things where it's like we laugh about stuff that I probably should be offended about.
Yeah, I actually, that's why I think I like you so much.
But then it's like
that's even funnier.
Then it's the little things where I'm like, it's like, you shouldn't really even care.
Yeah.
And those are the things that I get butthurt about. But it's because of my past traumas, my past things that you have to choose to decide, even though you didn't do that, and that's not who you are. And
you also have to let go of the past to be able to move forward. Yeah. Like, if you do not let go of what that, even if this person, like, I intentionally had to say this in my head, like, that is not who that person is. That Michael is not who this and this person is. Like, maybe even if there was, like, major trust broken or whatever it was, like, still, like, being super intentional in my thought life for trusting. Like, you can't make yourself trust someone if they keep bringing it over and over and over. Mm-hmm. That's really hard. And I don't really know the answers for that because, I mean, you can intentionally love someone, but when things are, like, constantly broken, I mean, that's kind of what marriage is, too, though. Not ours. We're going to be good.
No,
but it's just a two-way street. I made a little note in here because I probably will forget it, but for me, letting my guard down to trust myself, that I can trust in God, that if I really need to be worried about something, that He will reveal it, because I'm a feeler.
Like, when something's going wrong. It's a knowing.
Yeah, it's this feeling I get. It's a knowing that how God speaks to me sometimes. So no one will have to even say anything. I have this really discerning spirit that I'm like, something's off. Like you can act like everything's A-okay, and I'm going to be like, something's off. So it's really hard because that also is something that God's gave to me as like a gift. Like this is like one of my gifts. But in the same way,
There's times where
it's your insecurities and own feelings and stuff. So I have to try to discern whether this is really something to be worried about, or if this is me.
Yeah, or is this just my flesh?
Yeah, am I going off? And I'm really trying to. I think that with Michael, the relationship with Michael, like starting in the very beginning, I really had to discern if it was my own insecurities or why. Which really, there's a much bigger, deeper issue going on that I didn't even know about. I mean, I did, but like when I went to counseling and she all like took it back all the way back down to this one little tiny incident or thing that really wasn't that crazy big.
Past. Yeah.
Well, yeah, not even from her past, like stuff with us.
Oh, yeah.
Like just this small thing, because I was like, for months, I was like really bugged, and it would just kept growing and growing because I never attended to it.
And it was nothing.
And, well, it's something, but it's nothing, yeah. But there was just like this really small thing that like, and end up growing to bigger and bigger, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, why do I feel that way? And so for me, like, I said, let me see. I already said, because I discern and I feel, so I have to make sure it's God and just not my own security, what I'm feeling in the moment. He's revealed things to me many times before, so I still have to learn how to steward that feeling. And I have to intentionally make myself trust who I'm with if I want to make it work as well. That means I physically do not have to check his phone, his watch, his iPad, unless there is a feeling of insecurity going on, or if there's something that I really feel like I'm worried about, and there's something like God reveals things like that too. Like I know because it's happened many times before. But like if there's something that I'm like, but I physically have to like in my mind be like, I am not going to go check that because that actually keeps me in bondage. Sometimes like constantly worrying about and seeing what they're doing. Like, yeah, there's things sometimes that you need to find out, but like being like, no. Like, I'm not going to look at that because it's only going to put me in a mental place, or maybe even look into something more that's not really that big of a deal. I mean, I shouldn't, but but we have set something in place, which it hasn't happened yet, which I feel like it should. After this, I'm gonna be like, give me your phone. but I feel like the boundary and like to have an open and vulnerable marriage or relationship is being like, can I see your phone in front of each other? Yeah. I heard
like
that on something
in the
else.
moment,
like in the moment, not just like
not like, hey, can I see your phone when we get home, kind of thing. Not like it's
like I need to see your phone like right now. Like it's not like you have to say that, but like, can I see your phone? Can I go through it if I need to, like right now? Because then you're off guard, so it's not like you can go right there and delete everything. So I feel like that's gonna be harder to hide. And I mean, I don't have enough energy to live a double life, so I really don't want to. But I think it's also being kind, loving, and respectful going through someone's phone when you're right there with them. I mean, there's certain relationships they ain't gonna let you for sure. Well, because of what they're hiding, and they're gonna freak out on you. Like I've had that happen.
A learning curve for me too, and I had to learn how to trust in this area because your past, the people you were with, you tried to do that. And they would try to hide it. They'd be like, no, or this, or give you the runaround. Me, I'm like, I'd rather you ask me for it on the spot randomly than to do it behind my back kind of thing. And it was the opposite.
Because it's kind of like a violating feeling. I get it.
Yeah. But it's just...
But it's also, people don't do it though because it's uncomfortable. And then you know that most likely when you're with certain people, it's going to cause a fight. And then they're going to start off with being like, you don't trust me, you don't... Yeah. You know, and it's not, it's like one less thing that you got to worry about. Yeah. And truly, I think.
But I was that way.
But there's some people that want to agree to that. We agreed to that because of stuff that we've been through. So, of course.
And that's how we're
going to be like, okay, whatever.
Before we even started dating, I'm like, you want to go through it? Just ask, kind of thing.
And he also, and I think a big thing is trying to establish trust after trauma, is giving all your passwords and to your social media, your phone, your email, whatever it is, your bank account, anything that you need. I think that is honestly so helpful. I mean, I don't think you should just keep checking every day. I think that's not necessarily trusting so much as if you have to like get on it every single day and you're like really worried about it. I mean, I get it. I understand. I've been in that spot many times, but you also have to like let yourself being like, okay, God, like if this is something I really need to worry about, you're going to reveal it. Like make it so known. Like I've done that so many times, like in all my relationships. If I have a bad feeling, instead of me just instantly trying to like feed my flesh and be like, oh, I'm gonna go and make myself feel better by checking his phone to make it better or whatever. That's not really, sometimes it can end up, it's not going to God first. And I got in the habit of being like, okay, God, if there's truly something, like I don't want to go and find this myself. Like if there's truly something that I need to be aware of or whatever, uncover my eyes, and reveal it. Reveal whatever. And sometimes, and I'm just going to tell you right now, that's like a scary prayer, to be honest, because God will do it. And I'm not even saying that it's going to be something that's like inappropriate or whatever, or, you know, I mean, but there could be anything that's like, there's a good feeling or a good chance that you're going to get hurt out of it. If there's something that needs revealed. I mean, doesn't mean it's gone, but, because I think once you're married, you really don't have privacy that much anymore. I think you can respect them. I think you need to have a certain respect with someone.
Yeah.
Especially ones you're in a relationship with, but
like you and I both don't like us looking over each other's shoulder while we text or whatever. Like I'm saying, like
I don't like
it's just I know it's just an annoying feeling. And we both feel that way, so I think there's a mutual respect. Like, oh, hey, can I see that? Like.
Yeah, or we just like, ask and...
Yeah, and then it's fine. So I think, like, privacy like that in that area, like, not always feeling like someone's watching you, judging you, like, looking at, like, you typed that a weird way, you did this the weird way, like, always something like that. Like, I get that part, but when the two become one, you're legit one. Like, you are a reflection of the other person. So...
Yeah, and I think just doing that is going to put you on edge alone.
Oh, yeah.
Of you wanting...
Because you're not always going to agree on the same things.
Well, no, and, like, not even... No, I mean, like, being able to go through your phone, like, that's going to make it harder to hide stuff. And, like, so if you're the one that's hiding stuff, I guess you better stop. I don't know. Or come clean and figure it out. I truly think... Okay, and I'm going to say this. Establishing trust. What's a big thing for me is honesty.
Yeah.
Even if it hurts my feelings. Like, to Michael, I'm literally like, if it's the most horrible thing in the world, if you just tell me, then it's going to be 10 times easier to reconcile, or it's actually going to still keep trust there. It's not completely broken, but there is going to be some hope to it with trust still built there. Not completely everything is because you were honest and you came to me about it. But if I find out any other way, oh man, that's like a whole different story. Like that ends up being like, you know, betrayal or whatever it is. It just comes with a lot more emotions and it's a different process. But I feel like if someone's honest with, like, truly honest with me, I respect them a lot more. I'm like, wow, like, thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, there's, like, things that we've even set up in place where, like, there's times where I'll call you, like, hey, this just happened. I'm telling you because such and such and such. It's literally no big deal. But you would rather me just say, like, hey, this happened. It's literally nothing.
Yeah.
But here we go. That way, because then if I don't say something or you don't say something, then there's like, okay, well, why didn't they say anything, or why didn't? And I had to learn to do that because in my mind, I'm like, oh, it's legit nothing. Like, it doesn't matter. But then in your world, it's like you're hiding something. Yeah. And then I get frustrated because I'm like, I feel like I'm being attacked now because it's like, I didn't do anything. Like, I literally did not do anything. And then it's just a vicious cycle back and forth, back and forth, back and forth until we get to the point where it's like, okay, in her world, this is not good. So I need to try to make sure that I just say, hey, this is what happened, yada, yada, yada. cool.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, no big deal. Whatever.
Yeah, and that's so what are things that you helped, I would say, pinpoint things that helped me trust you? What do you think helped? Like things that you put in place or did that
I would
helped
say
me
just
that
even-
trust you. Like,
Well, from the beginning,
okay,
I
well,
got.
I'm gonna answer just one for you because I know one that just came to mind. It's like being consistent.
Yeah.
Like consistency and time 100% builds trust. So, okay, you can go.
Aside from like before we were dating, a lot of people have heard I got rid of other girls that were in my phone before we were even dating, and
Yeah. Literally
gave
giving
you
all the
passcode.
the passcode. I think we already talked about this actually.
We did.
We did probably on dating, but like
Yeah.
Michael literally gave me his like we were just friends. Like he was interested in me and I was just like, I don't know about that, probably not kind of thing. Like it was just a weird situation. And he was like, hey, but when he like let me know like, hey, I'm interested in you and I'm really serious about this, but here like sent me well, I mean like we already had this kind of talk the day, maybe it was the day before, it was the same time, but being like, I'm serious, like. And so he ended up giving me like screenshotted like all his passwords to his phone, his social media, all of it, to where it's like complete access as friends. We weren't even dating.
Yeah.
And he sent that to me and I was like, when he sent it to me, I was like, what the heck? I was like, oh. And then of course my twisted mind goes, oh no, there's something behind this. There's an agenda behind this.
Or he's got a burner.
I'm like, yeah, he's got a burner phone, like he's still hiding stuff, you know, like I mean, I didn't actually think that about you though. Actually, I really didn't. So I didn't go too far into it, but I was still like, oh, there's an agenda. There's the reason behind this. Like he's gonna hold this over my head or whatever it is. So it was really scary to let you in on that. But that was one of the very first times where I was like, oh my gosh, he's so serious. And I secretly love that. And I actually, you know what's even crazier is I didn't even write this in my journal, but I do remember after going through some stuff with other exes or whatever with people, and I just specifically remember the time of just asking God, not like asking God, but just being like, I like just said it in my head, being like, that's what I want. Like when it came to, it was like, I don't remember if I was reading something or whatever, but it was like, you know, like having fully trust of having all the passwords and all the stuff and saying like, that's something that I secretly wanted because whoever I was with like wouldn't do stuff like that. It was just hiding everything. And so to be like fully open and vulnerable and honest, when you sent that, I was like, holy crap, like he's serious. And that is one step that made me be like, okay, like obviously I can trust him because at any time I can get in his account or whatever it is, I can look and he knows that I have the password and we're just friends. We're not even dating yet. Like he's just letting me know like, hey, I'm pursuing you. Like here it is. And I was like, who is this person? Yeah. I mean, I knew who you were, but it was just like surreal to get that. It was really scary to like be on that step because I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna have to let my guard down. I'm gonna have to let him in a little bit and start that whole process.
Yeah, I would say another thing. So aside from that stuff, like trust after trauma, like things that we've gone through, where I would say for me to help build trust with you, I had to then trust you as well, with me being vulnerable. And guys just get comfy being transparent. Like I'm not a communicator whatsoever, but I had to get comfortable telling you, like, you're like, what's wrong? I'm pissed off. Like I was not comfortable saying I'm mad. I'm not comfortable saying with my feelings. And I had to get comfortable saying I'm frustrated. I'm really, really frustrated right now. Or I'm really sad right now. Or I'm really jealous right now. Like, and I don't want to be, or I don't, you know.
Yeah, you just wanted to think everything was all good and stuff like that. You just want to pretend, and I would know because I'm a feeler and I'm a knower, discerner, and I would be around you and I'd be like, something's up. You could act the same. And you're like, no, it's fine. And I'd be like, nope, it's not. You're gonna.
But I think for you,
tell me.
for there to be trust built between us, and for you to begin to have trust for me, I had to trust you and saying like, I'm gonna be vulnerable, and I'm going to trust that she's going to take care of my heart kind of thing.
Yeah.
And she's going to
It's
listen.
you really have to let your guard down.
Because
if
I
willing
was
to
not
do
someone that like could say how I felt and then be heard. It was shut up. You don't have feelings. Done. Like done, you know?
Yeah.
And so I had to trust that you're going to take what I have to say, listen to it, process it, and then go from there.
Yeah.
And then by me being honest and vulnerable, that helped build trust with you in the sense of like, okay, he's telling me. He's not hiding something.
Yeah.
Because even if it doesn't even have to be something big. It doesn't even mean you're cheating on someone. It doesn't mean you're being a terrible husband.
Thing, honestly.
It can just be you're not being honest with your feelings. So how can this person trust what you're saying?
Yeah.
And that I think was a huge one for us because like I wasn't sharing how I was feeling. And you're like, there's something going on. And I'm like, no. Like,
and then I would have to question you, and I hated that because
and
I had
then,
to like pull it out of you.
Yeah,
I'm
and then
like,
you're
you should
going,
just tell me.
You're going in circles all day long wondering what's going on, you know? And then you would question something, rightfully so, and be like, what's going on? And then I'd be mad because I'm like, I am not doing anything. Like, it's like, it would just be a back and forth
say it like
thing.
that.
Well, no, I'm saying how
Yeah.
I was feeling inside is like, I'm getting in trouble for something I didn't do, you know? And so it would just be a back and forth thing, you know, as far as this communication thing goes. I think that's a huge one. And then, of course, like when there is areas of trauma,
Being patient.
and getting over it. Like, that's a huge thing too. Like, obviously, there's certain consequences for certain actions. And so the healing process may take longer than other things. But after
And you can be a victim to your trauma.
Yeah.
Or you can be an overcomer to your trauma. Me, I choose to be like, do I want to continue this for the rest of my life? Yes, God can heal and everything, but I think it takes work out of you too.
Yeah.
And then there's people that just try to do all the work just for them, but they also need to bring God into it. It's like one or the other. I'm like, no, it takes both.
Yeah.
It actually takes three. If you're going to be in a relationship, it's going to take God, it's going to take you, and it's going to take your spouse. So just being like patient, like that's another thing that you helped me with a lot, was being so patient, because I think they just want to rush the time. They say like, what guys say to girls is like, yeah, I understand, I'm patient, I'll do it. And then after like the first month or two of them like going out or whatever they want to do and being like, they're not necessarily doing anything wrong, and then they're getting in trouble or getting, you know, whatever it is, and they're either insecure or jealous or whatever it is, and then you're like, well, I'm not, and then you no longer want to do it. That's not the option. Like, that's what we go back to, is like, no, you have to be patient with this process. Like, if you're not going to be patient, then don't get in a relationship, because we're all broken. We have all had trauma. We've all done it. And I honestly thought I would never trust again. Like, after I was done with my divorce, I literally trusted almost no one. I've never done that in my life. Like, it was literally such a broken, like, feeling. I was like, I'm never going to end up trusting who I'm with again. Like, I love being single because I knew I wasn't getting cheated on. I knew I wasn't gonna get hurt. I knew I wasn't gonna get physically abused. Like, whatever it is, I just knew. I'm like, oh man, I love being single because it was freedom for me. It was not under this bondage. It was under this constant hurt and the feeling and stuff. So it was great. So, but when I got back into a relationship, not all, but most of those feelings come back. At first, it was like, you know, it's little honeymoon stage. It's fun. Get to know them. It's fun. All that. But then there comes a time where in reality kicks in and you're like, okay, I still got to work on some stuff. I'm still not fully healed from that. And just because you think you're fully healed doesn't necessarily mean there's not going to be layers. Like, I feel like
little things here and there.
I feel like there's things that you eventually can be fully healed from, but there's definitely, like, what happened in my process of it was thinking I was done with it. Like, oh, okay, I got to this step. And then a little bit later, it's like, oh, here comes another layer. Here comes another layer. Here comes another layer, or problem. Something else happened, and then we're starting back over. Like, I hate feeling like I have to keep starting over and doing the work that I've tried so hard to do. But and talking about it. I am not going to say this enough. Go to counseling. Really, truly. Like,
or
even
some people
as a
that
guy,
you even trust that.
Yeah.
With your somebody, like, a couple that you trust with your marriage, not just like,
Yeah, but I feel like professional help is like
no,
the
professional
best.
help is the best, but I'm just saying for people that cannot afford that or can't get
Yeah.
things in, find a couple that you look up to that models the marriage that you want, that you trust, and talk to them.
Or just friendships that are easy that
Yeah.
you've seen that have overcome stuff. Like,
But it
have been a
has to
good
be,
influence.
it has to model what you want, and because if
Well,
you're,
true, but then there's also got to be things that you can relate to people, which
Yeah.
also brings vulnerability. But
Yeah.
you got to be able to relate to someone, because if they don't know, like, what stuff that you've been through, and that you feel like you don't get understood or you're
Yeah.
not being heard, then it's not ever going to build trust, because
Right.
you're like, well, you can say that all you want, because I had people say that to me all the time.
yeah,
Like, try to tell me what to do in my relationship or what I was doing. Like and it's good to have outside 100%. You definitely sometimes should listen to that, because
yeah,
but I'm the type that like has to find out for myself, because I didn't trust easily. So now I think I've been a little bit better about it, but like just doing that kind of stuff.
I like to think of it like, as far as trust goes, the process goes. It's like you have no other options in getting to Disneyland other than driving. It's going to be a long ride. It's going to suck. It's going to be uncomfortable at times.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. Yeah, I know you don't ever want
More money, fly, we'll be there in a second.
But it's that kind of process. Like, it's going to take time. It's going to be uncomfortable. There's going to be stops you have to make. But in the end, it's worth it when you get there.
Yeah. And
You know.
like you said, yeah, like I
And I
really
would-
do like eventually,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say get over it, but I feel like you can stay stuck as a victim,
Yeah.
or you can overcome it and not instantly just act like it doesn't bother you or whatever. But I feel like truly talking to someone, like counseling, like getting help, it helped me process. Some of us, or like Michael is an internal processor, so he has to process it inside. Me, I'm an external processor, so if I say it out loud, because I have so many thoughts and things going on in my head, that if I say it out loud, sometimes I can actually answer my own questions that I thought,
Yeah.
because I'm like, oh, okay, like
Yeah.
that was kind of a dumb thing that I just said. That was, I have to process it that way. And so getting it out is really helpful to me. And it is for you too, though, as much as you don't think so. You're an introvert, but I think having someone else, or it's not introvert, but whatever, I don't know, something, processor. But that's helped me overcome a lot and be able to trust people, because there's been someone positively speaking life and stuff over me when my head could tend to get out into the dark side, and
Yeah.
you know,
But
I
you
don't know,
have to,
twist and turn. It could
you-
go spiral real quick if I don't like start like being like, okay,
just like everything in life, though, you have to choose, like, are we going to make that drive?
Yeah.
Are we going to work for and buckle up for the long haul and get to where we want? Or are we going to choose to not to, you know? And I would choose to make that drive over and over again, just because coming out, you know, we're
on
never
the other side.
Yeah, coming out
Like,
on the other
wow,
side.
look at us now, you know.
Yeah. Coming out on the other side, though, it's like, okay. And then it makes all the other drives easier, because
Yeah.
it's like you have a blueprint. If you choose to be dumb and keep making stupid mistakes, then
Going
that's
cycles around
yeah,
the
then,
block.
and that's on you, you know? Then you obviously didn't get a long enough drive. But
Sometimes you got to do the drive.
yeah,
over
sometimes
again.
you got to
You missed the exit.
circle
go
around,
back.
yeah.
Try again.
But when
Rerouting.
you've had when you've had something like that,
That's good.
when you've had something like that in your life, you can look back on it, and it's just same as like experience is things that you have gone through yourself, and wisdom is learning from other people's mistakes.
And enjoying the process. Okay, I can't say enjoying the process, but I knew but truly trying to enjoy as much as you can out of the process, even if it sucks and even if it's hard, because I know that God doesn't waste anything that you go through. Like, there is something that you might be going through the process of going through that's going to help you, and it's not even going to pertain to the same subject. There's going to be something that he can help you throughout 5 different subjects. And like, if I would have never gone through this, I wouldn't have known this, this, and this. Like, I can truly say that. Like, my life is a walking testimony of so many things that I went through, like, in the process. Like, I knew, like, nothing was gonna get wasted. Any of my tears, any of my hurt, all of it. I'm like, God's gonna use this for good. And I know it. Like, so, I mean, whatever can happen to me, but God's gonna use it for good. So, it's just gonna overcome it, you know?
Yeah.
Get over those mountains. Those hills and valleys. Okay, I could just keep going.
Okay.
I'm in a mood. We got to get out of here and close out, so...
I'll just offer it just in case. You want to pray us out? Or...
No, I don't know why we do this. Okay, maybe I'll try...
I'm always giving you a chance to. That way you don't feel like...
Okay, well, I will. I'll get...
Okay.
No, I'm only going to do something that you could do.
Oh, that's fine. Anything. Yeah, that's gross.
Oh, okay.
That's
Just because
gross.
I've had so much trauma in my life, I understand you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Great.
sounds so bad, but overcoming. Okay, God, I ask that whoever's going through just trauma in their life and not being able to trust people, I ask that you help them with their guard, getting lowered and knowing that they have to get out of their comfort zone. And I ask that you just comfort them in the moment of knowing that getting uncomfortable is, I don't even know what you want to say. Getting uncomfortable is where you want them to be because they're going to grow in the process. Yeah.
God, I just ask that you bring healing in areas of trauma of life. So many times, Lord, that we've just committed acts against you that could have caused trauma, but you don't choose to dwell on it and to hold it against us. You just forgive and keep going with us, Lord. And I just ask that you give us the same heart that you have towards us, towards the other people in our relationships, and towards the people that have caused us trauma in our life, Lord. And I just ask that you just supernatural healing, Lord, and that you help us figure out ways to put in place to build that trust again with the people in our lives. In Jesus' name. Amen.
Can't be on the spot. Can't be on the spot.
You did good.
That's exactly why I don't do that. I can't think of anything.
You did good. Don't even worry about it.
Thank you so much for joining us today. If you're interested in checking out more of our podcasts as they come available, please download our app in your device's app store or check us out on your podcast platform at Garden Valley Church. We look forward to seeing you next time.